Hello everyone and welcome back to WCS Premier League for StarCraft II. We're in the round of 32 in Group D and we've had a lot of action take place so far. We've had one player unfortunately already eliminated in NXC. Kane, as a fellow Zerg player, what do you think went wrong for NXC?
Well, you know, just looking at his play, I think he was a bit nervous, especially during that last series. You know, his tournament life is on the line. He really wants to do the best that he can do. It just felt like he wasn't really playing up to his potential.
Yeah, I definitely agree. In that series against Harstem too, whenever the camera panned to NXT's face, you could clearly see the emotion that was going across and that every loss heavily affected him. And this is his first appearance out of Australia. It has to be tough.
Yeah, and you know, I spoke to him a little bit before, and he's 18 years old. He's a young guy. He has a lot of years ahead of him. This is his first tournament outside of Australia. He has so many more opportunities. This isn't the last we've seen of this kid.
Yeah, and then on the flip side, we saw Xenosider keep his Premier League run alive and winning that match against NXT. That interview, Kane, it just really hit me in the feels there.
Yeah, of course. And you know, Xeno, I know him personally. He's a very good kid, really funny guy, and you know, you do get emotional after seeing him express his emotions like that. So it is very hard, but you know, he's a great kid and he's a great player as well.
Yeah, and Xenosider stated how much he wants to make it to the round of 16 in the Season 2 finals in Toronto. And if you guys aren't aware, we do have the second wave of sales of those tickets available at this very moment. So make sure you grab those if you haven't already, as I'm sure those are going to run out pretty fast because everyone wants to make it there, Kane.
Yeah, and there's going to be a lot of people there. Huck says that you can bring anything and he'll sign it. So, you know what, I'm going to make the same offer. I will sign anything. And I think it's going to be just incredibly fun.
Well, it's time to find out which of these two players in our next match will be the first to move on in Group D. Our winners match will be between Harstem and IA, and I am very excited for this game because these two had such dominant first series. I think this will be a really good game. Yeah,
and especially IA, I was really impressed with. It seems like that series versus Xeno, he was so comfortable, he did everything that he wanted to, and I was, like I said, really impressed with his play. So I hope he can bring the same thing versus Harstem.
Well, speaking of Harstem, so we've been talking about how he's the favorite to make it out of the group. He's been showing how great he's playing. I mean, he's looked pretty much untouchable. Is there anything that can stop him?
That's a good question. I know that he really likes that +2 Blink Stalker play. If IA is able to get Mutas before that happens, or maybe go into Hydra Ling or something like that, maybe he can stop Harstem, but he'll need to prepare specifically against that build.
Yeah, and speaking of IA, we watched a little bit of his interview, and he's despite the fact that he's very modest, it seems he has more to him than that. He's definitely very confident despite how modest he is, and he did state that modesty is a culture of China, so we'll see if his inner confidence is able to come out here against Harstem.
Yeah, and especially one thing that I like doing is being the underdog. When you're the underdog and people aren't expecting things from you, there's absolutely no pressure on you. You can perform to the best of your ability. And if you lose, it's like, well, yeah, I was the underdog. And if you win, it's a great surprise for everybody. So I love what IA is doing here. He's really playing himself down a little, and I think that might come to his advantage here.
And speaking of playing himself down under a little, you did the same thing in the Season 1 finals in Poitiers. I distinctly remember that when I interviewed you, you kept saying that you weren't having any expectations for yourself, and then you just went on to win games.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the best strategies, I think, so we'll see if it, like I said, comes into advantage here for IA.
So for this winners match, we have Harstem, who's been in an absolute tear, and IA also kind of surprising people and showing that he is prepared and doing extremely well. Who do you think will be the first player to move on to the round of 16?
I would like to see IA move on, even though I'm a friend of Harstem's, but Harstem is such a solid player. You know, he's been around for a while, and especially recently, his PVZ is looking almost untouchable. So I'm not going to be surprised at all if he moves on.
All right, then. It's time to find out which one of these two players will be moving on to the Toronto finals first. Let's find out with Nathanias and Huck.
Thank you very much, Sue. We are in the winners match. It's time to see who the first player in this group going to the round of 16 is going to be to play in Toronto, where Huck and apparently Kane will literally sign anything. What are your expectations going into this match?
I mean, I'm just excited for signing anything. Let's go.
What are your expectations? What are your expectations for the craziest thing someone will ask you to sign there?
I've signed some things, some X-rated things before, so let's just leave it at that and move on.
All right.
To the match.
I was just hoping for someone's like ladder promo, like print out, like I got promoted,
you
from
said
gold to
craziest
platinum.
thing. You said craziest thing.
Well, within reason, Chris. Within reason.
Anyways, moving on.
PVZ.
Yeah.
Coda, first map. Talk to me.
It's. I mean, IA knows what he's going to play against Harstem. Even like calling out IA, saying, I play the same way every game. You know what it's going to be.
The way that he
Stop
said
me.
that.
Like he's just saying, stop me. So he wasn't like very confident, but he was kind of like a little cocky, and not like a super outgoing way. But he's just like, he knows what I'm going to do. If he did any studying, he's going to know it's coming. Can he stop me though?
I really like the way that he said it. He's just like, if he studied
Like the
any of my
Terminator.
games, which he should have done for the last 2 months, I
Yeah.
play the same style.
Yeah,
It's a pretty bold thing to say.
Yeah, and he said it so soulless.
Yeah.
Like he's just drained of
He's just
emotion.
like, if you practice, like, you know what I'm going to do. You got to outplay me. There's no easy way out here.
Yeah, I mean, these vetoes, same as the last PVZ, exact same order, everything, exactly the same. So, I'm from Harstem. I expect we're gonna see the same exact builds.
So what is
the same
Harstem?
units.
What do you think Harstem's worried about? That
Um,
maybe comes from.
I talked to Harstem. I said personally, I think IA would come out with like some burrowed roach play. And looking at these maps, it would be more likely that he would do it on Coda than anything else. Maybe like a third base busting. I mean, he speaks pretty good English, so maybe I won't talk too much as he has his headset off. But I'm on to you, IA. I know what you got coming.
Some trickery.
Yeah.
Some trickery up his sleeve. Well, Coda's a pretty good map for harassing the third because Vani,
Vani is, like,
third's
very-
super easy to take.
Yes, and we saw that Harstem's defense against that early Zergling Roach play is really solid. And then Iron Fortress would be the biggest question mark here. We haven't seen any games PvZ today on that map, and it's a way bigger map. And
Yeah.
it plays out very, very differently than the other
And,
two.
yeah, the variation with the spawns can work out on Iron Fortress. Like it's
Changes
hard to
everything.
even it's hard to even make predictions until you see where the players spawn because of just how much of an impact that has. We're in the lobby. We're getting ready to get set up and go here into this series. Do you, after seeing how much IA dismantled Xenocider, do you feel is Harstem as favored as he says he is in this group, or is this more closer than maybe it seems from the way that players have been talking?
I think it's pretty close, but they both won their matches pretty decided.
Yeah.
It wasn't that close. Both 2-0, 2-0. What's going to be more interesting is after this game when either player falls down and they play Xenocider, who has a little bit more confidence in his play now. How close that match will be. I mean, this already going to be super, super, super close. I'm expecting 2-1, and I'm expecting longer games. I think Harstem's going to play macro, but he's going to see that he can't get so much ground with IA as he did with NXZ. He's going to do the same kind of pushes, the same kind of feint and aggression, but it's just not going to do as much. And he's going to come out, on more even terms late game. Those Brood Lords, possibly, 20 seconds earlier, and that push all of a sudden doesn't work, and then he's got to get Tempest, normal macro play.
Yeah, greater chance of IA punishing those small move outs with things like counterattacks. You mentioned possibly even throwing in, the Burrow Roach play. There's a lot of other things that we're expecting from IA as being more experienced in the competitive scene, having defeated some pretty solid Chinese players to actually get here and compete here in the World Championship Series. So I'm very interested to see. It's like Harstem's going to try to play the same game, but it's just going to be tougher.
Yes, I think so. And then IA might have more tricks up his sleeve. I think he knows the style that Harstem plays is like super safe macro, and he might try to abuse that. Once again, though, is he confident enough? Maybe he's like, you know what? I'm a little bit better, and I'm gonna be comfortable too playing. Let's go macro.
The thing that makes me most interested when you say that is just, are we going to see him try to play a mind game? And by him, of course, I mean our blue Protoss here in the bottom right position of Coda, representing Invasion Esports. He is Harstem.
And in the 10 o'clock position, hailing from China, it is Invictus Gaming's IA. I mean, from China, IG is like as good as it gets. That's the Yankees of esports,
Yeah.
Like they're just balling.
Those guys have a really nice setup for all of their teams, for all of their professional players playing in
Deep pockets.
in China.
Deep
They're a
pockets.
well-run organization, to say the least.
Yep.
And
Deep pockets.
for anybody that wondering, Jim had the Prime tag at the end of his name. IA does as well. Invictus Gaming did partner with
I would like to
Prime
see them
for some,
playing.
for some Pro League
Yeah.
play.
I would like to see them over there. I think it'd be a fun experience. The flight's not too bad. They'd probably be pretty comfortable living.
Yeah, it's very interesting, right? Because like Prime's had a lot of struggles in Pro League this
To say
year.
the least. Yeah.
So trying to get at least some fresh blood in there to throw into the arena. IA's spawning pool timing. This is a bit fast, right? What is he doing here?
I think it's pretty standard. I don't think it's going to be too crazy. I'm surprised, though, that he did go pull first. I feel like it's not fast enough to do any real damage, and at the same time, he's not going to get a big economical advantage because he's going to, obviously go hatch after.
Is it like an anti-cheese pool?
Yeah.
Because it was earlier than a 15 pool, so I'm just wondering, like, where does he see an advantage in getting it this quickly?
I don't know. I have no idea. Doesn't really make sense. Maybe he's just nervous.
Yeah. Well, Harstem's playing safe anyway. He opens with a gateway, no
As
gas.
always, scouts
so
the same timing. He's going to throw down the Nexus. Very, very standard. He's going to get 6 Zerglings. Maybe it's like the anticipation that Harstem's...
catch the Zealot?
Yeah. Harstem's always going to get just 1 Zealot. He's going to have a later gas, so he's not going to have that Stalker. He's not going to have that Mothership Core. But, I mean, as long as Harstem just scouts and he sees the 6 Zerglings, all he has to do is build 1 more Zealot. And then all of a sudden, he's going to be farther ahead than IA is, building that early pull, getting a little bit less drones, and committing to 6 Zerglings. You got to view 6 Zerglings as -3 probes almost.
Yeah, that's true. He does have the probe on the watchtower, so he can see the links coming. He hasn't started the Zealot yet, though. Can this realistically do anything?
No, I think even if he had a Chrono Boost, micro probes, me being top 3 control, I don't think I would lose anything. Now, Harstem being, in Premier and me not being in Premier, I'm going to say he's got like top 1, top 2, so he should do an even better job.
Top 1, all right. That's
yeah, and this Zealot's going to have perfect timing.
He jukes him there. He's like, he tries to like bait him. He's like, yeah, try to run by.
Barry Sanders breaking angles over here for Zealot.
Just trying to peel these Lings off, not actually trying to fight all 6 of them, because that's in the open. That's when Zerglings will excel against a Zealot. Like, they ideally want to be in that choke point. But I mean, the cybernetics core is done. He's got 100 gas, so he can go for the Mothership
And he's
core.
making more and more Zerglings. I think he chased the probe off, and now he thinks, you know what? He doesn't wall his natural too quickly. If I just keep flooding in Zerglings, and Harstem playing a little greedy here, he's not making a second Zealot.
Oh boy.
He's getting, a later Mothership core. It's just going to finish now, and 2 Zerglings get into the main. He's going to scout. Once he gets speed, he's going to have so much opportunity to do more and more damage. And he's already got the shield sound on this Nexus. Oh, and he might get in.
Oh, yeah, he's just going to make his way straight into the mineral line. That Zealot is still just running around, being kept going for laps, basically. And yeah,
he doesn't need to commit here. The biggest problem is if he commits to attacking that Zealot within the mineral line and then all the probes get pulled. He needs to keep these Zerglings. Oh, and he gets a perfect surround against the Zealot. He's going to burn through this and then just pull back.
Oh, man, the probes get pulled off the line, but some of the Lings still alive. And he's still just building Lings coming across the map. He gets the sentries in the bottom of the natural by itself.
Oh, that's definitely a big mistake.
Oh, no. Harstem's sentry gets completely surrounded. He's going to lose that. And there's still just Lings coming across. There's not enough energy for Photon Overcharge yet. He might just kill the natural Nexus.
And he's just multitasking. He's harassing the probes, never committing to a head-on-head engage. Just takes a probe, moves away. And at the same time, he's just flooding in more and more Zerglings. Harstem's in a lot of trouble here.
Yeah, this is an awful position to be in. He's still just 5 energy away now from a Photon Overcharge, which he'll have to use in his main. Then the natural is definitely gone. If he uses it on the natural, then he might just lose. I mean, has he taken game-losing damage already yet?
He's lost 15 workers. Zealot gets surrounded. Even if he throws on Photon Overcharge, he's losing his natural. He's going to lose the rest of his probes if he commits to it. I mean, he's going to have... Oh, and he just GG's.
Oh, wow. IA just catching Harstem off guard in game number 1 to open up with a quick win in the winner's match.
Totally unfazed. Look at him. He's like, meh, I don't care.
So, do you think he was really planning to do it like that, or he sees the opportunity because of what he scouted?
He definitely watched the games. He knew that Harstem only got 1 Zealot, and then this was a thought-out plan build, for sure. And it was smartly done. I mean, Harstem looked a little shaky there. Even just the sentry getting caught out, not willing to chrono boost the second Zealot, I think he really didn't adapt. As soon as he saw the 6 Zerglings, he should have been willing to commit to a little bit more than, just 1 Zealot.
Yeah.
And he just made Zerglings.
I like your point that this really did seem like something that just worked very well against what Harstem was going for. It was a very well-picked build, very well-executed strategy.
And this is what I was talking about. When you do the same thing every single game against a smart opponent, and you're not willing to adapt or change it, you're going to run into this trouble. This isn't some scrub player. It's IA, probably the best Chinese player right now. He sees the games, he knows what you're going to do, and then he just adapts. He picks a build, and there's a bunch of builds he could pick, different timings he can land. And now Harstem, he's got to go back to the drawing board. And at the same time, IA could just always just play a normal macro game. You'd have a pretty good shot at that. And that's a threat that Harstem doesn't have. IA has tempo now.
Yeah, we spent all this time talking about before the series started. We're like, well, Harstem's going to try to play his long game, and IA is going to do much better, we expect, pressure than NXZ did against him. We didn't even get to that phase.
Nope.
He wouldn't do something like that twice, would he, Huck?
It's not even about that. It's the threat is there, you know? Harstem, is IA scared of Harstem? Does he think something crazy is going to come out? No. He's like, he's just going to play super standard. I have complete control. I know the timings he wants to hit. He's going to do this little sentry push, then he's going to do this little blink stalker push, and then he's going to follow it up with, like, you know, High Templar Storm or Colossus, but he's not going to commit to some Immortal All-In or a Gateway timing. So he just controls. Complete control.
Yeah. That's that fear that we were talking about. You mentioned earlier when you're playing against players that can macro really well. You know, the ultimate comparison, of course, being Life. But now it's been used by the Chinese Zerg to put this guy on edge. And this guy being down 0-1, he's not out of it if he loses this series, but he sure would like to win this one here. In the top position representing Invasion Esports, he is Harstem.
And in the 6 o'clock position, the Chinese Life, Rebirth, it is IA. IA seeming very, very zen-like.
Yeah, he doesn't really seem super phased. You know, there's not that emotional display. You can like see Harstem's trying to keep himself, you know, in the zone.
Pumped up, yeah.
Keep himself pumped up. What do you think about not going for a fast wall here? His gateway is in his main, or his first pylon is in his main mineral line.
I'm not sure. It might honestly just be like a slight mistake. He might be a little shaky. I don't ever see a reason where you would commit to that pylon in the main base when you can get a guaranteed wall. The benefit, I mean, it's right there. It's like not even you'd lose one mining trip.
What about those 2 seconds that the probe can spend moving to the mineral patch?
Yeah, I mean, like, what, 5 minerals?
I'm asking you. You're the Protoss man.
I mean,
like, is it?
no. I mean,
Okay.
I would always put the pylon at the rim.
Well,
I guess he's going Nexus first. That's what it looks like.
so the second pylon will probably be by the
Yes.
ramp
Yeah. So he's taking like a slight gamble. I guess Harstem is willing to deviate a little bit, but at the same time, IA going for the hatchery first. If he goes triple hatch, then that'd be very good for IA. I mean, build orders at this point aren't going to really make or break the game, but you will get like a slight advantage going into the mid game.
Yeah, I mean, IA taking this base on the low ground. We could already be looking at a position where he could take the pocket base now, but maybe this is one of those builds where, and we've seen a lot of Zergs do this, where they just don't want to, well, I guess, yeah, that drone moving. So he's going to take this one. He just wants to have the creep spread from that fast base on the low ground.
Yeah, he's not really at any risk. You have overlords that there's a very direct path from your base to the Protoss base and vice versa. So he would see, you know, as we do, with that probe coming across, he knows he's pretty safe. And the Overlord going into Harstem's base will get there soon enough where he's not really going to be too worried about anything.
Yeah, I mean, nothing could possibly hit fast enough to really punish this for Harstem. So IA can just do what he's doing. That spawning pool comes in very late, but because it's a Nexus first, like the Cybernetics core hasn't even started. You know,
and
one
it's
Zealot, not going to do anything.
And it's a triple hatch against Nexus first. Both players playing greedy, but I would give the slight advantage to IA in this. Just because, you know, like you said, that Cyber Core is not going to be done. He knows he can drone for days, and he's not going to be too worried. Harstem's going to come out with this probe, see the third hatchery, and then he probably won't even bother going to the gold base. Once he sees that, he's going to change his rally and just go home.
Yeah, I mean, if he had the fourth base too, it would just be like,
Well, physically impossible unless like,
he's like make some
microing those drones.
Cats
like,
could have a hatchery there.
actually, someone that's very, very efficient at mining quickly and, you know, always hitting timings a little bit quicker is True. True is actually amazing at getting a little bit more efficient off of his
Now
workers.
you're making me think about True's crazy game on this map. Was it? It was True against Patience and DreamHack, right? You're giving me flashback nightmares when I think about True and Vani.
I just remember seeing True the day after on the train. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Well, he had a lot of fun at DreamHack, to say the least. Mothership core is on the way out. Warp Gate being researched for Harstem. So is he going to do that thing where he just goes up to 3 gates still, even though he went off Nexus first?
No. I think he's going to change something. I'm not sure what that is right now. Maybe it's like a really committed gateway timing, but I don't think he's just going to play 3 gateways in the Nexus. If anything, maybe it'll be like a +1 timing.
Okay, well, there's the Forge, so that opens up the +1 timing. He could also, I guess, build up to like a +2 blink setup, which is never, I mean, I guess it's not really bad. Most Protosses have been busting that out forever, right?
Yep. Since the beginning of time.
It's quite strong. These links come up, sees the sentry.
Sees the forge. And that's already somewhat of a cue, like, of what he's up to.
Yeah. So is there anything that IA is concerned about when you see just the sentry opening? Because I imagine most Protosses want to use it to scout. Wow, that's really fast third Nexus.
That's interesting. But he is going to scout. I think the Zergling will come back. Oh, no, doesn't seem like it.
No, he saw it already.
Oh, did he?
He saw it as it was planted down.
Oh, so he knows what's happening, and this is just reassuring them that he... So both players playing really, really, really greedy.
Yeah,
As soon
like,
as he sees it, he's like,
base.
yeah, he's just like, all right, 4th hatch, keep droning. It's cool with me, man.
This is... These guys have, like... we do missling in the lobby? Like, no rush 20?
Zero clutter.
Yeah.
Back in Brood War days, that'd be...
Those were all the mineral patches, like, stacked on one hex so the workers don't actually have to move anywhere.
One Reaver shot, one Storm drop. Ah, the good days.
Well, I didn't play at a high enough level to have to worry about that,
Oh,
thankfully.
okay.
So.
It was just like Turtle until
Yeah,
max. Okay.
Spilled 10 gateways, march zealots across the map.
Let's see. So he does get the +1. Probably going to do some kind of gateway push, it feels like. You know, with whether Blink Stalkers or just a committed gateway army. He does have options. Even though they both open greedy, because he will have so many warp gates, there's a lot of potential that comes into that. You can throw down the infrastructure. Another weird thing about Protoss play is that you can throw down a lot of gateways and just always have infrastructure and options to be aggressive or defensive. And Harstem just being very safe here. He's one thing he's great at is scouting and knowing exactly what his opponent's up to at all times. He sees the layer timing. He sees that he's still droning. How he feels about that, I don't know.
I mean, it doesn't seem like it's a situation where he has anything to be worried about. Not for a little while, at least.
Yeah, it just depends how he feels, confidence-wise, against IA. Does he feel like he's still the better player late game? This is going to be one of those longer games, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, since the lair wasn't done yet, like, there's not as much of a
Yeah.
risk of, like, Hydralisk pushes or
Or
fast
roaches,
mutas.
yeah. Any of those options are pretty much off the table. So Harstem's happy to just get his Twilight, probably going to get Blink, and then maybe going to do a gateway timing.
Do you feel like, due to the way that both of them have been this greedy, though, like, as a Protoss, Harstem's ideal strategy is to just sit back and turtle? Like, I don't know, because I feel like IA, like, does he have enough economy to just hold off any push?
I think it's up to Harstem to do this, like, these little pokes, and then be able to recall. He wants to force units, but he's already, there's so many workers already.
He's at 80 drones.
Yes.
83 drones by 9.5 minutes.
Yeah, and Harstem's got a good worker count too. He's on 3 bases, but it's not 83. 83 is pretty sick. Being at 83 drones, IA can already just start making units almost blindly. Like whether aggression's coming, whether he wants to put on aggression, whether he wants to. He
doesn't need
so
any more
saturated.
workers for like the rest of the game.
So it's very simple for IA just to gradually tech up, keep making army, and then just start taking engagements that he can win. He's not really in any danger. He doesn't have hard choices, and that's a situation you never want to be in as a player. You want to force your opponent to make a tough call. You know, do you tech up? Do you just drone? Do you need to build army? But IA doesn't have that anymore. He can do everything.
It seems like the only thing IA doesn't have as this push is going to start to poke is he still doesn't have, like, his roach speed is almost ready. He doesn't have any actual upgrades on those forces. And he doesn't have Hydralisk range yet.
But he's going to have a lot of units. He's going to have maybe like 10, 15 Hydras in a little bit. He's already got a good core set of roaches. And I don't feel like Harstem can really push in that much. You know, these pushes that he used to do against X and Z that always did a little bit of damage, he's not going to get any.
I mean, once roach speed finishes, landing force fields in this scenario gets a lot trickier. Once Hydralisk range finishes, force fielding off Hydras isn't as effective. Like, he gets a few roaches here, but since there's creep spread here,
it's always scary.
No observer. Yeah, he can't even clear the creep.
Yeah, and he's doing for like the same standard thing. He's getting the warp prism. He's probably going to load up 4 zealots, and then he's just going to, you know, keep putting on the pressure. But this is a new beast. IA's not going to take as much damage from the other abbreviated name.
So where does Harstem go then? Does he, with this robo base, does he just try to max out with Gateway Colossus and eventually get Templar against Vipers and play old school HOTS? Or
I mean, he's already on Hive Tech. That's the problem. X and Z in this situation, he's just getting Hive. He's just starting it. IA in this situation, Ultra Den, already going down. So he's, I mean, you're gonna have what, a Colossus coming out, and then he's gonna have Vipers. He's gonna have like, and the other matchup, he had High Templars before the Vipers even got started.
Yeah,
and this game, he has an Ultra Den, he has the Vipers coming out, and the first Colossus isn't even out yet. That's the difference here. And that's where Harstem's going to struggle.
He's got patrolling Hydralisks to deal with this Warp Prism, especially considering that the Zealots don't have charge. Like, you're going to see better control of these Hydralisks I'm expecting now. And with the Ultralisk Den coming in, what's his ideal dream scenario then for IA? To just get a fungal with the Ultras and just kill all the Gateway units, or Blinding Cloud him into a corner?
a move and have a few Vipers. Like I think he wants to remax into Ultras. So he wants to take an engage, make a pretty good trade, and then remax into Ultras.
Yeah, I think
And that's the follow-up army.
that's a pretty good move. Like all that's out there is this Warp Prism to try to buy Harstem some time, but it is being zoned out so well, like not able to get in at all. Those Hydras are not opening up a single opportunity for Harstem. Like everything he has is stuck at home. That Warp Prism has not been able to do anything.
Yeah, Harstem here, best case scenario, he wins the engagement, he can get High Templar out, and the Zerg player just, you know, trades poorly. But I don't know if that's going to happen.
It's going to be really tricky. There the couple force fields come in. Now he throws a Blinding Cloud on top of the Stalkers, and the Vipers step forward, not going for any abducts.
Good control for Harstem. He's like on hold position. He's not willing to commit. That Blinding Cloud not doing as much, and he's going to come in with this Warp Prism, drop the 4 Zealots, but there's already Hydras.
Oh, yeah,
and they're targeting down the Warp Prism. Those Warp Pins are not going to come in, and now these drones are just going to tank, and that's going to be completely defended.
Really nice defense of that Warp Prism. Another Blinding Cloud gets thrown on top of this army. The force field still looking solid. The Templar looking for feedbacks here on this army, but IA still able to fight with the benefit of that Blinding Cloud right behind his army. Another Colossus does show up, though.
Yeah, he's going to have 2 or 3 Colossus here. He's going to kill the Zerg army, I mean, as best as he could, and he feels... I just hope he doesn't have this false sense of confidence. You know, right now he just crushed the Zerg army, but look at the supply. That army just died, and he's still up 20-30 supply. What is he remaxing on?
Oh, Huck, 9 Ultralisks.
9 Ultralisks.
Can this army kill 9 Ultralisks?
It would be really, really tough. And worse, like I said, Harstem has this sense of confidence. He thinks, oh, I just crushed his army. You know, I got options here. I'm going to go do some damage. Nope. Those Ultras are going to come out, and they're going to smash through his army. Upgrades are coming in just in time. He just finished the Ultralisk armor, and Zergling's Adrenal Glands is going to come in as well. Harstem smartly feeling, you know, maybe I wasn't as strong as I thought I was, and he needs to pull back.
He starts in Immortal, so I think he had his observer actually saw an Ultralisk finish over at the west base. So seeing that gives him the notice, like, okay, well, I'm going to need to get some Immortals. Maybe Archons at some point. The Storm is still kind of useful too, though.
Yeah, Archons are okay, but 9 Ultras. He's maxed out. Harstem still not. If Harstem is maxed, maybe. He sends a little Blink Stalker, blinks ahead just to scout and see what the army's like. And he knows he's in trouble. He has to take a really good positional fight. He needs to hide behind these buildings and force a choke. Yeah, this Ultra comes out. It's getting torn up by this Ultralisk on the right side, but his main army on the left is holding okay for now.
Yeah,
it all comes down to position.
Yeah, he loses the Immortal, though. So important in this position. The Blinding Cloud pushes the army back. The Ultras are coming in from both sides. Another Blinding Cloud. He still has energy for 2 more Blinding Clouds. He just keeps dropping them Blinding Clouds on top of this army, and he's backed up behind this mineral. He actually does manage to find a decent choke, but then abducts one of the Colossi in, and there's still just so many Ultralisks. Big Zealot Warp in, though. A lot of the Ultralisks are quite weak, Huck, but even if he's able to clean this up, is the follow-up going to be too much for him?
Yeah, it all depends what he can retain from this army. He has 3 Colossus. He barely saves 2 of them. I mean, best case, that was a great fight for Harstem. I mean, the Blinding Clouds were so perfect, but he used the mineral lines to his advantage. And he's using these Warp Pins to block off the Ultras. The Ultras can't get on top of the army because they don't naturally target the Warped In units.
Yeah, that was a really interesting setup. Like, he killed a very expensive army of IA, and now the supply gets much closer. And he's actually still building Ultras while Harstem's double pumping out Immortals.
Yes. If he can get the perfect army, Ultras are always the situation where if they have Immortals, you're going to take these really bad engagements, and Protoss always has the option to come back in the game, even down supply. That was the best engage Harstem could hope for. IA played it really well. He hit all the Blinding Clouds. He forced his opponent in the back of his base, but the Mineral Line, the Gas, the Nexus all act as natural blocks, and then he warped in twice to block. That was really, really nice.
Really good point. Keeping those Zealots in there. Of course, they're not going to kill anything, but just blocking, being a wall in this situation is really nice. Dark Templars are going to get sent over to try to harass this base. Doesn't seem to be anything to deal with it.
He's timing it. He's holding that DT, waiting for the other one to get into position. And just as he strikes at the 4th base, the DT is going to walk into the main. He sees that he has no spores. He's scouted the whole time, has the observer, and he's going to start picking off these drones. IA needs to stay calm, and he needs to not commit to an attack, because a lot of players in this situation just 1A their army across the map. If he can get to his hatchery, it would help a lot, but it doesn't look like he will.
No, I have to say, Harstem's done a phenomenal job of keeping IA from going for another push. Harstem gets that supply lead. When we look at the army compositions, there are 5 Immortals. He's going up to 7 Immortals against 9 Ultras. He is going to absolutely Shrek these Ultralisks.
Harstem has a really good opportunity here. He cannot fight Broodlords. The Greater Spire is almost complete, or complete. It's almost complete. And if he waits too long and he's fighting against Broodlords and Ultras and Vipers, he's going to run into problems. But if he can hit a timing with this many Immortals, with Storm, with 2 Colossus, He has everything he needs to win a big engagement.
Yeah, I think this is a prime opportunity now for Harstem to really make something. He starts another base up, and considering he's testing the water, there are still Ultralisks. The Corruptors are coming out. No Broodlords on the way yet.
He wants to get into a smaller choke. That's why he's moving on this left side. He wants to threaten the 4th base and get into a smaller choke, but he cannot be safe. He needs to go for it.
Yeah, he doesn't have that
Broodlords
much
just
time.
started up too.
He starts a starport, 2 Stargates, and he's opening up that door to defend this,
Immortal
but it won't
gets
be on
caught.
time. Ah, boy.
It's not such a big deal. I would really hope he would just commit to this. I feel like his opportunity is so strong right now, at least to trade efficiently. You know, he doesn't have to end the game, but he does have options before those Broodlords come out. He sees one of the Broodlords, so he obviously knows. Kills a Viper. We might see a big engagement here. I don't know.
And he's going to try to force this at least a little bit. The Zerglings are coming up to chase this army. The Archons and the Colossi
Great
destroy
storms.
the Lings. Yeah, the Storms hit quite a few of the units that are chasing. He storms himself a little bit, but he really needs to just get into a position where the Immortals can fire at the Ultralisks. As soon as the Lings are gone, I feel like the Immortals will really start to shine.
Yes, you need the Zerglings to not be there so the Mortals naturally target all the
Yeah.
Ultralisks.
Now
2
he's got-
Broodlords out. Not such a big deal. He does have enough Stalkers to kill them. He just needs a good engage. These Immortals getting on top of these Ultralisks, really pounding them hard. But he's, I don't know. I don't think he can commit. He's trying to target and kite back.
But now the Broodlings are also messing with that Immortal
the
AI that
Zerglings
you
are coming
mentioned. The Broodlings and the Zerglings preventing the Immortals from targeting those the Ultralisks naturally. The Hydralisks are coming up as well to help supplement this, but
He's pulling ahead in
he's
supply,
broke.
and IA's broke.
Yeah.
He did such a good
The
job.
DT, there's DTs in the natural, there's a DT in the main, it looks like. So during all of this fight, Harstem has actually cleaned house. He's completely cut off the head of the economy of IA.
And he played it so well. He was just biding his time, pulling back, kiting constantly, just targeting down these Ultras one by one, letting the Zerglings get on top of him. And now he's in the position to win. He's picking off these Broodlords with his Blink Stalkers, and there's no more Ultras to tank.
Yeah, there's no more Ultras to tank. He has the Stargates ready if he were to need to continue this game forward, but he doesn't. GG. Harstem ties the series 1-1 now against IA in the winner's match of Group D.
I think he just pointed at a girl and said, hey, I need your number after that game.
That's a Harstem thing to do.
He's like, hey, you, over there. Did you see that? Oh, yeah.
He's looking... He's
Oh,
just,
IA looking a little shooken. Never seen him so sad. He's like a small puppy.
Well, after a game like that, it seemed like there were a lot of things that were going very well for him in the early stages. Like he was allowed to go up to 83 drones by 9.5 minutes.
Harstem played so well. The openings, definitely in IA's favor. The beginning, early game, mid game, definitely in his favor. But look at this engage. IA plays so well, great blinding clouds, but Harstem's so patient. Just blanketing storms, protecting his position. He always wants to fall back to this 4th base. He forces the engage at top and then just retreating. The whole game, he's retreating into storms, kiting, and just constantly attacking these Ultralisks.
I was really blown away that he was able to take this victory. Like this was the key fight that allowed him to come back and really take this game all the way, just by getting into these chokes, but
And
being
watch
able
this
to
warp in.
survive the blinding clouds.
Look at this warp in, just naturally blocking half the Ultralisks, the gas at the top, the Archon blocking the other Ultralisks. Look at that. That's stellar, stellar play. Those small things made the difference here. Look at how low these Colossus were. If they didn't survive this fight, the follow-up push could have killed Harstem. Honestly, best case scenario. His micromanagement and his position, look at these warp-ins. Once again, blocking the Ultralisks. Zerglings being thinned out as they come in.
Yeah, that was like the engagement he needed to be able to win that game. If it plays out any other way.
Yeah, that was a comeback. Like that engage put him on even terms. And then everything after that, he definitely fought tooth and nail for that game.
Yeah, really, really sick control and play out of Harstem.
Top 1 maybe.
Well, if it's coming from you, it's got to be true.
Okay, well, I'll think about it overnight.
So, as the authority on control, we will await your verdict, Sir Huck, as we get into the lobby for game number 3 to decide who the first player out of Group D will be to go to the round of 16 for the World Championship Series. We're going to play on Iron Fortress. We didn't get to see this in the PVZs yet.
This is the best match for me thus far. This last week. Both these players seem very evenly matched, and I think they're both playing really, really well. You know, they're living up to their potential, and I like really want to know what's going through IA's mind right now, because the first game he got pretty easy win. You know, a build order advantage. He played into Harstem played into his hand, and he just got a free win almost. In that second game, Harstem went back to his normal macro style, felt very comfortable, played a macro game from behind, and won. Came back and won.
That's really impressive, considering, you know, IA just
And
had
IA played really good too. Yeah, he played really, really well. And then Harstem just, I don't know, he feels very comfortable, very confident, I guess.
So crazy to think that he took that big engagement even though his Immortal like got immediately caught off guard. He like tried to blink to save it and couldn't get it, and even without the Immortal, being able to take that fight was just so sick. Like that's an engagement I'm gonna be like thinking about for a while. That's like Protoss dreams right there.
Positionally, it's magnificent.
Yeah. We are loaded in to Iron Fortress. We're ready to find out which one of these two is going to the round of 16. You're watching the World Championship Series Premier League. We are on Iron Fortress. In the bottom left position, we have our red Zerg player representing Invictus Gaming. He's IA.
And in the 5 o'clock position, possibly top 1 control, at least today, it is Invasion's Harstem.
So I know really weird things can happen in these spawns if you're playing Terran against Zerg or Terran against Terran. But for PvZ, horizontal positions, what does this mean on Iron Fortress?
Mutalisks are obviously always a threat. It's really hard to say. Like, I want to say like Phoenix's, some Stargate play would be a little bit better on this map, but I don't see Harstem that type of player. I think he's going to stick to what he's been doing. I don't think he has like a special, you know, some players, they have like special builds for certain maps. I don't see that from Kevin coming out in this series. I think he's going to play pretty standard, but both players probably going to expand away from each other. You have 2 options for a third, and I think both will opt for the one further away. It's a really strange game because your 4th bases are usually going to be pushed into each other. Sometimes Zerg will take the other 4th base farther away, and Harstem going to kind of get unlucky here. He's going to scout first vertically, so he'll probably do like, you know, the little circle, and he'll end up at the Zerg player's base last. And I, playing into the map's advantages, knowing that it's a 4-player map, goes for the hatch first. He's not too threatened from, you know, something crazy like a fast gateway or fast cannon rush.
Yeah, we've seen in other matchups when players aren't able to get that fast scout, they use the fact that they're so far away from the enemy base to go for things like proxy, tech, hidden structures. Is that something that Harstem could do? Or are you sure? Are you like confident he's going to go for his standard Harstem?
No, he can definitely mix it up a little bit. We already see the gas coming down for him, which wasn't used so far in his PvZs. So maybe he's adapting.
Yeah, just 2 probes on gas.
Yeah,
Well,
that's like, maybe I want
bit.
Warp Gate. I don't want like a super tech heavy, but I want to be able to get Warp Gate a little bit quicker. He definitely has a little bit of style into the way he's putting his probes on minerals and gas. Because usually you would do it, you know, 3 immediately, or you would wait until you get 16 on the mineral patches and then efficiently put that 3rd on the gas. But he waited until he had 14 on the minerals and then sent the 3rd. So I guess he knows whatever timing he wants to hit with that.
I mean, IA is going to go right for that 3rd base now. Harstem scouts the top left, and he realizes, we're horizontal spawns.
Yeah, I think he's going to go for some quick warp gate tech. I mean, he's getting such a quick cybercore, he's getting really quick warp gate, and he could always chrono boost it. You know, at the same time, IA's not going to get into his base to see anything anytime soon. And as soon as I say that, he does chrono boost on that warp gate, and he scouts the 3rd hatchery. He knows it's coming, so it does look like it's going to be some committed gateway timing. Maybe 3, maybe 4, I'm not sure.
I mean, 1 geyser being taken by IA. Does Harstem have a situation based on what he scouted from IA where he can try some 2 or, you know, maybe 3, 4 gate pressure off 2 bases?
Yeah, what he wants to do is kind of deny scouting, or if not, he needs to feint that he is teching up. Like if he took his 2nd gas in his main base, he would kind of trick the Zerg to a certain degree as long as the timing was okay. He's going to let the Zealot peel off and go attack the Zerg's base, and I think he's going to use the Mothership, maybe a Stalker or something to distract the Zerg player. So he does throw on 4 gates. IA knows exactly what he's playing against, it would seem at least. He knows 4 gates are up, and he's going to send the probe right in front of the Zerglings towards the Zerg player's base.
Very interested to see how he's going to react. Just start Zergling speed and then try to crank out Lings? Like, at what point does he stop building drones if he wants to actually defend this push?
Yeah, it's really tough because he doesn't know exactly when the warp gate's going to finish. He doesn't know what chrono boosts have gone down on it. He just knows the 3 gateway timing. And Harstem already tucking away the Zealot to protect the pylon. Yeah, if he started cranking out Zerglings now, he'll be pretty safe, I think. It comes down to
6.
control.
6 on the way.
Yeah, I think he'll just continuously keep building Zerglings. And then it's up to Harstem. Like, how heavily does he want to commit to this? You can always just warp in Zealots like San does and then not attack.
Yeah. What does he need to do to make this work, though? Can he play San style? Is it that good?
Yeah, he can, of course, play it. I mean, as long as the Zerg player is, you know, similar workers to you, you have control, you have the threat. You can just keep warping in and just sitting there, and the Zerg player can't be too greedy. It's hard for the Zerg player to gauge where he should stop making units.
Yeah. I mean, there are a good number of links here, but without speed, Harstem has the option to disengage rather easily.
And you can always recall. At the end of the day, you could sit there all day, and if he's coming to crush your force, just recall. He just can't get caught out. The worst case scenario is he pushes out with these gateway units, gets completely surrounded, loses everything, or he has to recall, and he doesn't have that threat. He needs to have that threat, because at this point, he's seeing this many Zerglings committed, he sees more and more coming out. He should know that he can't commit to any attack anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, he's still been building probes during the majority of this aggression.
And he's up 6 workers. So he's not, like, he's happy. He should be happy. But does he know that? It all comes down to feel. This is where...
He's taking another gas.
Yeah, as a pro player, you're just feeling the game out. You see this many Zerglings, you think, I think I'm pretty ahead on workers. And look at this, he is. And he's getting more gases, and he's just sitting there. He's letting his opponent keep making army. And he just has that threat. And if the force engages and he's going to lose a fight, he just recalls. And all these units are still going to play mid-game.
Ooh, his Zerglings moving in on top of this pylon. I mean, I feel like this is a scenario where the worst thing that could happen is getting caught, as you said, away from that mothership core where you cannot, just use that recall. And, actually, the Queens are coming to hit this mothership core. Really cannot afford to lose that.
Yeah, he shouldn't lose it. And he's warping in Stalkers just to combat these roaches. I kind of feeling his way as well, and he's starting to drone a little bit more. He knows the threat's not super committed. He's going to lose a lot of Zerglings here. He could force field.
Yeah, I do really like this. Catches so many lings with these force fields, Huck. Well, that's pretty gnarly.
Yes, that's very nice. He can't lose his mothership, though. That's the most important unit in this army. He's going to take a pretty good engage here. Burn the shields.
He doesn't lose the sentries or the stalkers.
Yeah, and he loses a lot of shields on his units, but he doesn't really lose any, he didn't kill anything from Harstem's army, and Harstem still has this threat, and that means IA has to make more and more units, because now that threat is still there, that pylon's still up, that mothership's still there, all these units gonna recharge on their shields, and he's still a threat, and meanwhile, he's still tagging up, he's thinking about taking a third Nexus, he's up 5 workers still.
While warping in at his opponent's base.
Yeah, and IA is gonna throw a little counterattack, scout that third. Once he sees that third, he can cancel it. Oh, he doesn't scout it, he doesn't see it.
Oh, no.
Oh, this is so good for Harstem, as long as he can hit the force field that is natural.
Oh, no, he's revived, gets surrounded the sentry.
Oh, he might have to recall here. This would be so bad. If he's got warp ins, he's going to have to pull workers and kite back.
Yeah, I mean, he wants to stay out on the map, but I guess it's time to decide. Is he going home? Nope. He's stepping forward a little bit more with that army.
He's going to catch these 2 roaches at the same time. Is he losing that many workers at home? I don't see any more dying. He has 2 zealots, 3 zealots to defend.
He hasn't lost a single probe yet.
Oh, Harstem's playing so good. Both players trying to multitask at the same time across the map, harassing and attacking and threatening their mineral lines.
Still no probe losses for Harstem yet.
This is so tense. So tense. At any moment, a force field can come down and kill IA.
Third is almost done. He's got his +1 finishing, and that's so instrumental against the Zergling force with this army.
Still didn't lose a probe. He hasn't lost a single probe.
Nope.
During that whole time.
No workers lost by Harstem this whole game.
And now he's just sitting. He's sitting pretty with his army, still threatening, and still out on the map.
He's got 3 bases, a Twilight Council, +1. The lair's finally done for IA, but he's just starting roach speed. Is there any counterplay right now for IA?
Harstem is in complete control of this game. He's going to give up the pylon because he realizes, hey, I'm so far ahead. Do I really need to risk, maybe something crazy coming out of him?
He just needs to defend any type of counterattack, right?
If you're 3 base versus 3 base.
And his Phoenix, his hallucinated Phoenix, is still on this army.
Yeah, he sees everything. He's going to get +2. He could. What I would love to see is he throw down a couple cannons at his natural, just so he can have his full army at the 3rd base.
Yeah.
He still hasn't seen that 3rd base. Oh, this is so bad for IA.
Does he really think this is all off 2?
He doesn't know.
If it's off 2, then IA's like, I don't need to push, right?
Yeah, IA might feel very comfortable here.
He doesn't realize that it's a 3-base Protoss.
Yeah, this is so good for Harstem. Whenever you're on even supply against this many roaches as a Protoss player, and there's no threat, there's no Mutalisk on the way, there's no Hydras on the way, there's no Infestors, there's no Hive, you're very happy, and Harstem knows exactly what's going on. IA doesn't even know about the 3rd base yet.
I'd love to see him just throw out another hallucinated Phoenix and just tag it on that army like he did before. With the 3 bases.
He's constantly scouting. Harstem's scouting is so good.
He's
checking the gases.
This looks perfect.
Yeah, he's playing so good this game.
He went into this game with a mindset based on the spawns, and with that opening, everything worked out so well. The tech is so low. As long as he hits his force fields with the Immortals coming out too,
and he finally
Roach Ling shouldn't be able to kill him.
Yeah, and he sees the 3rd base now. Cannons are up, gateways, infrastructure, Sim City. He can't do anything.
He's getting Burrow and Tunneling Claws, but there's a Robo, and he has an Observer with his army.
And he's got an Immortal already. He's got good upgrades. He's going to have Blink. He's going to be fighting against this Roach Zergling heavy army, and he's going to have all the tools he needs to defend this. He's going to have Immortals, Blink, +2, and he's going to tear through this army if he takes a head-on-head engage. It's up to IA to kind of
make a miracle happen.
Yeah, he needs to flank, he needs to attack from that right side of the third base, loop around, buy time, and come back in the game. Harstem came back last game. Now IA is in a similar position. He's a little bit behind, and he has to come back. But he can't do it on a straight engage.
I mean, +2 is about to finish up. He's
Boom,
got Blink
done.
finishing up soon.
Third Immortal.
Yeah, this is everything's turning up. And Harstem just keeps, like, he had another Phoenix. He just hallucinates a Phoenix, right-clicks the roaches. He says, you have no anti-air. You're solo on tech. I can just watch your army move around. I don't even need an observer because you can't do anything about it anyway.
And he's got so many sentries. He's
Hallucinates a few
hallucinating
more.
Immortals. I wouldn't even hallucinate the Immortals. I would want to engage.
He's going to try to burrow move under this army.
He has an observer though, and he's got the perfect army to fight these roaches. The roaches getting underneath. He's going to have to unburrow some, but he doesn't have detection. Half his roaches are attacking the hallucinated Immortals that have the hardened defense as hallucinations.
Oh my god, it's a Zerg Bloodbath. 2 Immortals still just wailing away, crushing through an insane amount of supply here for IA as he tries to make his way towards that
He
third
needs the
base.
time warp. If he can time warp, he gets a perfect time warp. These roaches aren't going anywhere. He can always blink on top of them, trap them. These cannons are going to provide vision, so he can't. Oh,
He
look at
blinks
this
in
wall.
front of the roaches. There's no escape.
Wow.
You can't leave, Huck. You can't leave.
That was such a good engage.
And he still has the cannons.
Yeah, and I mean, like, he has roaches and he can buy time. I don't know if Harstem realizes that there's roaches in his main, in his natural. But to be honest, he can sacrifice a little bit of probes.
He's
has
warping
stalkers.
in the main. He's warping. I think the roaches see the Dark Shrine, but like he defended this.
As soon as they got into the natural, he immediately chrono boosted on the observer. And now that observer's in the main, he stalls the main observer with his main army. He's going to clean up these roaches, and he's going to be in the perfect position to counterattack and win this game.
This is absolutely phenomenal. He's trying to switch into Hydras, but there's no Hydralisk range. He only killed 6 probes with that massive push. Resources lost. Not even 3,000 for Harstem. Over 8K for IA.
Both these players are playing so good, but that engagement by Harstem, those hallucinated Immortals. He hallucinated, what, like 8, 9 Immortals? He
You know,
lost all of them?
hallucinated Immortals actually still have the Hardened
Yes,
shields. It blocks
yeah.
20. You can't. A hallucinated Immortal can't take more than 20 damage when it has Hardened shield.
Yep, and he just tanks so much. He lost almost every hallucinated Immortal. I think 2 or 3 were left. And his 2 real Immortals were still alive, pounding away those roaches. He's going to take a big engage here. I don't know. This is going to be really hard for IA.
Yeah, and now he's starting to mix the DTs in too. He's got a Dark Templar running to the natural. As he continues to push forward, the force fields are looking great. He's got the Guardian Shield. He has the Warp Prism to help reinforce. The Observer sees everything. There's no burrow play that can be employed here by IA. His supply is just dwindling and dwindling and dwindling. Warping in more Zealots to reinforce. Warping in more Dark Templar. Harstem wants to go on to the round of 16. He wants to go on to play in Toronto. And with this many, 6, 7 Dark Templar with his army, he's going to win. GG. Harstem is going to Toronto.
And he's pumped, man. He is pumped.
That was some safe play, Huck. Fantastic play from Harstem.
Surprised he didn't make IA flinch, man. Just like give him a little mad dog him a little bit, you know? IA just immediately leaving.
That was really, really well played. You look at the way Harstem played all the PVZs. It was super cookie cutter, super standard, and then he goes for this build, and IA's like, this guy's going crazy. He's going to all in me. He's going to make this massive push and try to end the game right now at the very beginning.
I just want to just give him a little.
That's
give him a
what
little
Harstem
diss.
did in that game. He was like, what? And then,
What?
and then he's like, well, I got to be safe. And then, nope.
Man,
Too safe.
Harstem, really impressed. Like going into Toronto so far, I think he's been the most impressive player that I've seen this last week.
Really well adjusted after, that first map. When you drop a map like that,
Yeah.
as a pro gamer, that's got to be something that can get in your head.
So demoralizing. But he stayed calm. And the second game, he played really defensive, fell behind, came back. And then this third game, really living up to his potential. Like, IA played pretty good, but he played unbelievable, Harstem.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Not seeing that third base worked out so well. Just that
And
little
off
bit
of
of
aggression.
that little bit of missed information because he's being kept at his base the whole time. The super delayed tech, everything just worked so well for Harstem. I can't wait to hear what he has to say. He's up front with Sue. Let's hear his thoughts.
Harstem, everyone said that you were the favorite out of this Group D. You did not disappoint. You will be going to Toronto. You're obviously very happy. Walk us. What are you thinking right now?
Well, after the first game, I was really worried. I was like, he did prepare pretty well. It was a build I never saw before, and I'm not very good at improvising, really. I'm quite good if I get to practice a situation over and over and over, but I never saw this specific build before. It was a 13 pool into something else, and I wasn't exactly sure what it was, so I underreacted a bit and just died. And I was scratching my head. I was like, wow, he's pretty all right.
Well, aside from that first game, Game 2 went very well in your favor. You had an incredible fight where just decision-making, micro, everything went in your favor. Walk us through that game.
Yeah, I think the start was okay for me, but then he got a 4-up uncontested. He had like 70, 75 drones, and this is in the spot I feel very comfortable in. And then he attacked me. The first fight went very well. I felt like defending the Vipers, but in the second fight it was extremely close, and I didn't really understand why, but I think, you know, Stalker Sentries, perfect storm, I can make all the tables turn, and that's pretty much what happened.
Well, game 3, you played, like I said, you just been playing so well. Game 3, it seemed like you were in control that entire time. You went and pressured, and you forced him to make units as you took your third, and he didn't even realize for the longest time. Walk us through that game as well.
Yeah, once he did the Ling run by, even though that should have never happened, that confirmed to me that he didn't know that there was a third yet. I took it a bit sneaky, I guess, didn't really send any units there, and I stayed on his side of the map. And when I saw that he went 5 gas, I knew it was going to be Roachburrow. And Huck told me before the games as well that he liked to play Roachburrow, and Iron Fortress was going to be the map for that, I guess. So thanks to Huck for that. But yeah, I think from there on it was really a pretty easy defense, because if you know a Roach Max is coming, you just build Immortals and Gateway units, and you should be fine.
All right, well, with this win, you will be making it to Toronto in the Season 2 finals. I know you've seen the electric crowd over in France, but the Canadian fans are an entire beast in and of themselves. You must be excited to see what it's like over in Canada.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited. It really felt like a bit of a dream, and I was like, actually, like this morning I woke up, I was like, maybe I will be able to actually do it. This group seems doable. And then, yeah, I'm very happy that I made it.
All right, and last but not least, I always like to give the players that advance a moment to share some words with their fans, as there's so many people cheering for you online, on Twitter, Facebook, Twitch chat, of course the fans here in the Burbank studio as well, so words for them.
Yeah, West Side, Best Side, boys.
All right, well, congratulations again, Harstem. He will be our first player advancing out of Group D. It is time after this break to find out who will join him in Toronto in the round of 16. It comes down to just 2 players. Will it be the lone American representative in Xenocider or the lone representative from China in IA? We'll find out after this.
I move objects with my mind. I climb the tallest mountains and slay dragons. I defend my galaxy from ruthless aliens. I am never bored. I am stronger. I am faster. I am G1.